Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So today what we're doing is taking a look at some of the features of tvOS 15, and in particular those that have actually got me most excited. Now they're not all working perfectly at this point, and I'll explain that a little later on in the video, but some of these are what made me want to install tvOS 15 in the first place. So as most of you guys, if you're subscribed to the channel, if you've watched any of my videos before, you'll know that HomeKit is a big factor in why the Apple TV is my go-to media device. And if we come into the sort of home icon, firstly, this initial sort of control center part just looks very similar to what it was like on tvOS 14. So we do have access to scenes. So if you wanted to create various different scenes throughout the house, as I've got here, so I have heating off, heating on to set two different temperatures. And then I have all my routines. So front room movie, start of the movie and end of the movie, living room, start of the movie, end of the movie, arming the alarm system, disarming it, and then basically just turning everything off. And then a couple that I've got set up for when I'm basically making my videos in this room. Now this is great, but it doesn't give you full access to all your devices. And then if we come up to the top, as you can see, we do have access to the cameras, and this is pretty much similar to what it was. So you can scroll through and basically see all the various cameras in your house. For tvOS 15, if you actually go left rather than going right, we now have a multicam. So this now finally gives us access to all of the cameras at the same time, and every single one of them is actually live. So unlike clicking on them individually and scrolling through, what happens with that is every single camera then has to buffer in. So essentially, especially with the front room one, the one that you can see me on, as well as the kitchen cameras, they tend to have a little bit of a lag depending on when you click on them. And similarly with the other four cameras, which are battery powered cameras, they won't boot up straight away because they are battery powered cameras, so they do have to boot up. Whereas with this, if you're expecting delivery, or if you literally just want to have them up on screen to keep an eye on them, every single camera is live at the same time. So you're getting, as you can see, cars passing by, wind blowing in the garden. All of this is live. So that's a nice feature that they've added. Now another thing that they've also added is if we just click into any particular camera, just in the bottom right, just down here, you'll notice that previously it did also have this as well. So this button literally takes you, actually, well, maybe not that button. Previously, the button that used to be in the bottom right would take you back to the menu so you could search through all the various cameras again. So that button has been replaced by the sort of multi-screen one, and the one to the left of it now brings up room control. So these are the sort of devices that it thinks you can access and you can use through tvOS. So for example, in this room, just down here, I do also have my thermostat. Now the thermostat doesn't actually show up despite it being a HomeKit device. I think the main reason for that is all of these devices that show up, they're basically like switches. So if we come to this room and we'll try it on this room and just confirm the same thing. So as you can see, the LEDs are just there. We then have the actual TV. I don't want to click on that because that will turn off the TV. And then we have the room light. So if I hit that, as you'll see, the room light comes on, and you can see that in the actual image, and you should notice that with a change in the actual picture as well. If I just click that again, as you can see, it turns off pretty fast, and we'll do the same thing with the LEDs as well. But as I was saying, this doesn't actually expose the thermostat, the one that's just down here in the picture. I'm guessing the reason for that is because the functionality of it wouldn't be a click. It wouldn't be a switch that you can actually just toggle. For a thermostat, you'd probably expect it to be more like a scroll or something, and I'm guessing that functionality isn't actually built into it just yet. Possibly that could be something that they do actually add support for further down the line, but with the scenes, it's not too much of an issue. For me, the bigger issue with the previous tvOS versions was the fact that you couldn't actually do simple things like just control one light from that room. Now it's still not perfect, because ideally I would actually just want it in this initial list, because this still requires me to actually go into the room of choice, click on this particular option, and then click on the LEDs, and that will then turn it off, and then click on it again, and that would then turn it on. Now you can obviously use Siri, and there's other methods that you can do this with as well, but ideally what I would want is this menu here to be updated somewhere down the line, and actually have it so then maybe you scroll across rather than having them in this main list, but eventually get us to the point where we actually have all of our devices more accessible, even if it means that they have to create a actual home icon, an app, rather than having it just in Control Center. That just accesses like a shortcut through Control Center, rather than you having to come down and actually physically click the app itself. All these kind of things would just speed things up. Now that's all really good, and those improvements alone have actually made tvOS 15 very, very appealing to me. I'm really happy with the updates that they've done, but there is more. So if we come into settings and we come down to AirPlay and HomeKit, and then we come down to cameras, in here you can actually turn on notifications for various cameras. So this is essentially what we saw demoed with the doorbells, where if your doorbell's activated, or if you have motion detection enabled, before somebody even presses it, if it detects motion or some sort of trigger, it'll bring up a little box in the top right hand corner. Now what you can actually do is you can actually enable this for all the cameras as well. So if we just click all motion on the front room camera, which is this room, what we should notice is if I just come out and I activate the screensaver, and as you can see, the camera pops up once motion's actually detected. So it no longer works just for doorbells, it does actually do this for each camera that you actually have motion detection enabled. So if it detects motion in any other room, so for example on my property, what will happen is as somebody comes onto the driveway, it will initially show the driveway camera. As they come around towards the front door, it will then switch to the porch camera, and if they were to go through the back gate, it will then switch to the back gate camera, and similarly if they come around to the back garden, it would then switch around to the back garden. All of the cameras will actually detect. Now the activation method, as I said, there are a few bugs, so at the moment I don't see any way of actually setting motion zones using this. I don't know if that's something that has to be set up initially on the iPhone, or whether that only applies, there we go, it's just kicking in again, whether that only applies when you've actually got the higher tariffs of iCloud in order to use HomeKit Secure Video. At the moment there are no motion zones. My driveway camera, for example, it covers a little bit of my neighbor's drive as well as the other side as well. So if either of them actually come into shot, it will actually trigger as well, and it will bring up the camera. Sometimes that can get annoying. What it'll also do is in my back garden in particular, simply when like clothes are blowing in the wind or something whilst they're on the washing line, that will also trigger it. You can mute the notifications for a set period. It works. At the moment it's a little bit hit and miss, so what sometimes I have to do is restart it in between actually making any changes. So initially when I actually tested it out, it was actually working perfectly fine. I literally just enabled it, and then it automatically, as soon as you come out, there we go. So as soon as you come out, it would just automatically detect it and come up. But then other times I would turn the TV off, come back to it, and the second time of using it, it wouldn't be working. If I then restarted the Apple TV, it would work perfectly fine again. Yeah. A little bit hit and miss. Obviously that's to be expected with the early beta releases. I'm actually quite surprised as to how well it does work, bearing in mind that this is the first beta release and this isn't even a public release. So there will be bugs that will get ironed out, and the functionality of it hopefully should improve down the line as well. But yeah, that's another really cool feature in tvOS 15. Okay, so when the pop-up does actually come up, it gives you an option to press the TV button in order to go full screen. Once you go full screen, if you do want to mute, let me just actually mute the soundbar. If you do want to mute the the notifications, just down there you see a little sort of sleeping icon as Z's with a moon. If you click on that, it'll actually give you the option to snooze the activity notifications, and it gives you set time, so you can snooze for 15 minutes, you can snooze for an hour, or you can turn it off until the following day. So if you know, for example, for the next hour there's going to be a lot of traffic for that camera, but you don't necessarily need any of those notifications, you can click that and then obviously do it accordingly. You can also turn notifications off as well. Yeah, there you go. So the garden one's just triggered. It's then detected motion here, so it's then come back here as well. Now, one other thing to note, if you do have battery powered cameras as I do, and you have notifications enabled, this will obviously cause a significant drain on your battery life for those particular cameras. So just keep that in mind. If you don't want to be in the position where you're actually recharging battery powered cameras over and over, then I would probably set this a little differently. Obviously I've got it set just generically to all on. If we just come back in and we come down to cameras again, and what we'll do is we'll just turn these ones back off again. But yeah, so if we go to the back gate one, for example, you've got clips only, which basically will require some sort of iCloud plan in order to actually do this, and it'll be a similar thing for specific motion as well. So you do actually get to choose between having people detection on or off, animals, vehicles, and packages. The packages one in particular will actually bring up a message saying you do actually have to have this enabled in order to get that, and for that to work you have to have clips recording, which only comes with Homekit secure video essentially. So yeah, that is the new cameras portion of tvOS 15, which I think is a massive upgrade. Hopefully they will keep working on all the bugs. So far so good, and hopefully we'll have more to come. If you have enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel and also hit that bell icon. I will have more videos coming, so that way you won't miss out on any of those. And until the next one, thanks very much for watching.